All right, week 8 college football breakdown here. Good battle in the ACC late at night. We got Pitt traveling to Louisville, taking on the Cardinals in this spot. Louisville is actually a 2.5 point favorite at home here and a dead standard total 55, 55 and a half, depending on where you look. I did lock this play in earlier in the week. Line hasn't moved at all, so I'll go ahead and give it out here. Pitt plus 2.5 is an official 1 unit play for me. Pitt is over 3 points better than Louisville on a neutral field. No doubt about that in my mind. I don't think Louisville's getting 6 points of home field advantage. That's for sure. The wrong team is favored here. The way I look at it, I would still actually favor Pitt, despite this game being on the road. I'm going to get into the specific football matchups here in a sec, but Louisville's a team that has totally lost my trust. We've seen them come out flat multiple times this season, including the season opener at Syracuse. You're 5 point favorites. You lose that game at Syracuse by 24. Is Syracuse much better than we all thought? Yes. When you're coming out flat in the season opener, it's a bad sign of where you're at as a program. Scott Satterfield is obviously on the hot seat still. I'm surprised that he still has this job because not only a few weeks later, they go on the road and lose to Boston College, who has looked quite literally inept against every other team they've played. I'm on Boston College this week, so I hope that doesn't continue. But point being, this Louisville team doesn't deserve any of our trust. They've come out flat in even the best of spots this year. They will get Malik Cunningham back in this game, and he's a big addition. He's played a lot of football for them. He's a dual threat guy. I'm not taking anything away from that, but they're still not healthy at running back. And some of those depth pieces at that position have been poor this year, like under 4 yard per carry, poor. Even when Cunningham's been healthy, he's regressed as a passer this year because Louisville has lost quite a few weapons on the outside over these past few years. I know that I know he's kind of got a connection with Hudson, but there's just not enough there in that wide receiving room. And clearly it started to have an impact. I like Pitt's defense, quite frankly, and it really all starts up front with them. This is one of the best pass rushing teams in college football with Deslin Alexander, with some of the horses they got up front. They're going to be able to win up front in this game, and I just don't feel confident that I haven't seen anywhere near enough from Louisville's passing game this year to make me think that they can consistently strike in the vertical passing game and keep drives alive. So I do give Pitt's defense the edge in this matchup. I'm not the biggest Keaton Slovis guy there ever was. I think he's a solid player for Pitt, but I think as we've seen this year, he's clearly not what some thought he was. Probably more so going into last year during his time at USC. With that being said, this is a pretty manageable matchup for him. Pitt's really, they've gotten back to establishing the ground game this year. I was hesitant as to how that would work. It's worked quite well. I mean, they're coming off a record-breaking day in their game against Virginia Tech. Is this as easy of a matchup as Virginia Tech was? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Virginia Tech had actually been pretty good against the run going into that game against Pitt, but, still a first-year head coaching staff. Maybe they had an off day. Reality of it is Pitt has gotten a lot better along their offensive line already this season. We knew they returned 5 starters at that position, but we're a little bit shaky to start the year. They've kind of started to round into form, and that's typically what you see from experienced units like that. So I would see no reason why. I mean, if Boston College, whose main issue has been establishing the run and winning up front this year, if they can do that against this Louisville defense, then I am very confident that Pitt can. And what ultimately gets me on Pitt here, we've really started to see cracks from the Louisville secondary over their past 2 games. Phil Dracovic from Boston College, 14.5 yards per attempt against this Louisville secondary. And then that very next week, Virginia's Brennan Armstrong. I mean, Virginia's another offense that's looked totally inept this year. And while Louisville did, pull away and win that game handily, he was still over 9 yards per attempt in that game. So if those caliber of quarterbacks and those caliber offenses are able to do that against this Louisville defense, I'm pretty confident that once Pitt does get this ground game established, Keaton Slovis is going to be able to have his pickings in the vertical passing game. Suffice to say, I know Louisville's a team that can be sexy with a flashy quarterback like Malik Cunningham. That's one of their only bright spots, though. I actually like this Pitt team. I know they kind of blew that game against Georgia Tech a few weeks ago, but they responded with a clear win against Virginia Tech. This is a solid football team. They're built the right way to be a flashy team that has holes like Louisville, even on the road. I think Pitt's the side here. I took them plus 2.5 as an official 1-unit play. All right, guys, before we get out of here, I know you see this shirt right here. If you're in need of unique but comfortable golf apparel, head over to proud90.com. They got polos with the colder weather coming, hoodies and quarter zips. Recently added a ladies line. Proud 90's got all your golf apparel needs. Browse their selection, and if you see anything you like at checkout, use code Fordham. It's going to get you 15% off your entire order. That's code Fordham is going to get you 15% off your order at proud90.com. Support me, support Proud90, proud90.com.